The story I have for you tonight is called Pushing the Boundaries. It references a time in my life 50, 55 years ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday. My parents sent me to St. Genevieve of the Pines Academy because it was simply the best school anywhere around. The nuns, who were of the Religious of Christian Education order, all had master's degrees and some had even earned their doctorates. They were from the Old World Mother House in Orly, France, and from the New World Mother House in Andover, Massachusetts. They were from Italy, France, Ireland, and the United States. They believed in a firm liberal arts education and college preparatory course. The academics there were very rigorous, and I did fine with those. But in the area of comportment, behavior, I was a miserable failure. Well, that failure guaranteed employment for a teaching assistant, as my mother was often called from her classroom or her laboratory at UNCA to answer the Reverend Mother's summons. Hello, Dr. Sirota. This is Reverend Mother Potts. I have little Ann Catherine in my office. Can you come, please? And Mother came quite often. My best friend at St. Genevieve's was Judy Freiberg, a gal of like mindedness. We would spend lunch times with our heads huddled together in the school cafeteria, thinking up all kinds of malicious malfeasance as we munched on our chicken salad sandwiches and our chocolate cupcakes. Every spring and fall, there would be a campus wide retreat. It was a week of what was called enforced silence. Now, this was difficult for me and Judy. During this week, we girls would write emotive adolescent poetry that referenced our understanding of ancient Greek literature and 18th century philosophers, very posh works, and we would participate in essay writing contests. Well, during the week, there would be one or two girls of the Catholic persuasion who, at the end of the week, would announce their intention for a vocation in the cloistered life. Now, Judy and I, forced to silence and grating underneath the forced silence, were in no way interested in the cloistered life. We created an expressive set of hand signals and facial expressions by which we communicated extensively and publicly. We were caught. What we got for that was a 2,000 word writing assignment on the glories of obedience to authority. Well, that went down okay. Judy had a younger brother named Eric. Eric attended Gibbons Hall Prep School for Boys, which was right down the hill from St. Genevieve's, and his best friend was Ryan Stone. He and Ryan often were called into the office of the headmaster there, Mr. Tolliver, for their pranks, and they extended those pranks to us. They challenged us to light up on campus. Now, there was no rule about that because none of the nuns had ever a thought that any St. Genevieve's girl would smoke. My father and Dr. Freiberg did smoke, and Judy and I filched our cigarettes from them. Mother Schwoyer's pet senior, Nancy, observed us smoking behind the statue of St. Joseph, which was down the hill behind the academy building. She approached us and let us know she had seen us. We asked her, well, what do you want to keep your silence? We offered her some sticks of beechnut gum, for there were cautions about the unladylike usage of gum. But that wasn't what she wanted. She was a boarding student and she wanted a Saturday pass uptown to Asheville to meet up with her boyfriend who went to Christ School. Well, we couldn't provide that. So she ran and told. Oy. Well, our punishment for that was we lost our free period for a month and a half. We were sent to study hall during the free period, which you might think was not a bad place to be. However, there was a mean, stern proctor in study hall who ruled the room from her dais. and she had been told about us, and she separated us. And Judy and I didn't like that one bit. We served our sentence, but the worst thing was Mother's mortified silence on the ride home that afternoon. Judy and I were avid readers, and we had an extensive library that grew by the week as we put our allowances and babysitting money into buying more books. Now, this was a good thing at St. Genevieve's, but the books we brought somehow didn't meet the mark. One of them had even been banned from entry into the United States back in 1938. Whoa. They were discovered during an unannounced locker check. Girls were sent from the locker room as Reverend Mother and Mother Clancy removed the offending volumes from our lockers. They sent them to the burn barrel, set them alight, and collaborated on our punishment. Henry Miller's Tropic of Cancer, James Joyce's Ulysses, and Darwin's Origin of the Species, all up in smoke. Kettle Hall, roar, a terrible affront to the dogmas of the Catholic Church and rife with forbidden sex. We received a sorrowful lecture on the dismal aspects of our futures by Reverend Mother and the resident priest, Father Henri Blanc. We sadly watched our extracurricular reading education go up in smoke. But these aforementioned things didn't even compare with my advertised $5 tour through the nuns' holy and untouchable cloister, but that's a story for another time. But wait, I think I'll tell it to you now. The nuns wore habits that covered all of them except for their faces and their hands. They wore wool in the winter and silk in the summer, but it was always black, excepting for a white wimple and white bands around the face and the neck. But there was this unresolved rumor that they also wore red woolen union suits under their habits. Now, I'm sorry, I just get tickled when I think about red woolen union suits. You know what they are. They are those all-in-one with a back door flap in the seat. Well, there was only one way to resolve that question, and that was to go underground into the cloister. There were several other girls who wanted to go with us, with Judy and me, and I said, well, I'll have to make a plan. So we began observing the nuns' comings and goings. Now, there were teaching sisters at St. Genevieve's, and there were also nursing sisters at St. Joseph's. The nursing sister schedules were at 6:30 a.m., 2:30 in the afternoon, and 10:30 at night. They all got up at 4:30 in the morning for matins, but the teaching sisters came and went in the cloister all day. That posed a problem. They were very unpredictable, so we would have to post a lookout. Now, there was a door in the chapel that always remained unlocked, and it went straight into the cloister. So if we could get in through there, then we could find out about the red woolen union suits. But we would need an escape route in case one of the teaching nuns came in through that door. So we gathered up the three girls who wanted to go with us, had them sign a vow of secrecy that they would not divulge anything that they saw or did while they were in there. And Judy and I hustled them into the chapel, taking their $5 from them. $15 we had, that would buy a lot of books. We went in through the chapel, there was no one there. We approached the door, there was no one there, and we slipped into the hallway. We found ourselves in this long hallway. It was solemnly illuminated by light coming through high frosted windows. There were doors on either side of the hall, bedroom doors, we thought. They were unlocked, and we went into the third door on the left. A nameplate on the door identified it as Mother Sterling's. Mother Sterling was the algebra and geometry teacher. She was a short, round nun. She was actually as round as she was tall. And she had the face of a wizened up old apple, just old and sour. And she had a sour disposition. Once into her room, we saw that she had a little narrow bed. On the table beside the bed sat a lamp and her missal. There was a straight back chair, a small chest of drawers, and a tall, ornate armoire in the corner. We stepped to the armoire and opened it. It contained her wardrobe. There were two summer habits and one winter habit. This being the winter time, she had another one on, and a pair of black lace up shoes. There was also a nightgown, a heavy winter coat. Well, that was the extent of her wardrobe. And no red woolen union suit in sight, no underwear at all. So then we closed those doors, went to the small chest, opened the top drawer, and counted out six handkerchiefs, little white cotton handkerchiefs. There was a woolen scarf and a pair of black knitted gloves. The bottom drawer held books. The Story of a Soul by Saint Thérèse de Lisieux and St. Augustine's Confessions and her catechism. But the middle drawer blew the rumors to bits. White cotton underwear. J.C. Penney white cotton underwear, not a brassiere in sight. Well, we had put that rumor to rest. No red woolen union suits to be found. It was time to leave. We stepped to the door, opened it. Judy peeped out. Oh no! Here came Mother Sterling and Mother Clancy in through the door from the chapel, and they were locked in earnest conversation. What to do? No place to hide in her room. What if she came in? We froze in place. But there was a reprieve. Their footsteps carried them past Mother Sterling's door and into the room at the end of the hall where we heard conversation. We were exempted from certain death. We could breathe again. We started to move toward the door. First Judy and then the three girls, me bringing up the rear, went through the door, zipped to the door at the end of the hall, and into the chapel we went. We looked up and there was Father Bloch entering the chapel. We dropped in prayer into the first row that we came to of seats in the chapel. He came on up the center aisle, he genuflected and crossed himself, and he gave all five of us, one Presbyterian, two Jews, a Baptist, and a good Catholic girl, he gave us the eye. We were safe, under suspicion, but safe. 2 Octobers ago, I went to the 50th class reunion. It was the first reunion I'd ever been to. And, almost to a classmate, they all remembered me, and they remembered me for this. Have you committed any heinous infractions lately? Do you still push the boundaries? Why, yes, I said thoughtfully, every chance I get. Thank you.